It's been going on for years. It's not specific to the Labour government or to the previous Conservative government. It's specific to the indolence of an industry and to the amount of money that we're wasting on HS2 when we should really be spending that money trying to improve the railway system altogether. It affects millions. It corrodes regional economies. It undermines public confidence and, frankly, makes our national infrastructure look shambolic. And today, Nadine Dorries, that doyen of literacy, uh, posted on Twitter about her appalling journey on GWR, and it mirrors the sort of journey that I had the other day. A service which should have been nine coaches was reduced to five, overcrowded, and and you're urged to travel early, and yet and yet the trains which go early are cancelled, and you're left waiting for hour after hour, and sent on routes that you didn't want to go on in the first place because you've got too much luggage. You don't want to be hauling stuff up and down um, stairways, and it's just a misery travelling by train in the UK. A misery without qualification. Uh, the state of train travel is appalling. I mean, in particular, the lamentable, overpriced, under-delivering mess that is Great Western Railway. Nowhere is the national malaise more visible than in a journey from or to Paddington. Long, expensive, and astonishingly, as Nadine Dorries discovered, going from Paddington to Malvern without catering. The 15:55 service last week was a case study, I think, from her point of view, in decline. No refreshments, no apology, no accountability. And one wonders where the GWR executives dine at a trough while passengers are left dry mouthed and abandoned, clutching their reservation slips like meaningless relics from a more civilized age, being told, as I was, that the reservations didn't matter anymore because there weren't enough carriages on the line, so reservations have been suspended. Consider one Sunday journey as emblematic. A passenger travelling from Truro to Paddington encountered what GWR vaguely called disruption due to forecasted severe weather. That's a fine euphemism for laziness and systematic failure. What transpired was an odyssey of incompetence, a five-coach train instead of the standard 9 to 10, packed corridors, people on floors, and surprise, no catering again. Now, fewer services would mean more spare rolling stock, but no, apparently Control decided five carriages would suffice. Control, that unseen, unaccountable deity invoked when nothing makes sense. Control sent apologies, but not seats. The train limped to Exeter, where it was declared unfit to continue. Another train was drafted, even more crowded. Disabled passengers, young families, the elderly, all squeezed into what? Holes. The loos were either locked or co-opted as makeshift perches. Welcome to 20th century British Rail. This isn't weather related, it's not an anomaly. This is what happens when cost cutting meets chronic underinvestment and bureaucratic evasion. Why are Hitachi Class 800 trains, barely a decade old, already faltering? Why are we short of units when the Sunday timetable is reduced? Why, despite £80 million poured into the Dawlish seawall, does a bit of spray halt half the network? Let's talk about the first class being declassified. Let's talk about the refunds being hedged in conditional language, or the train managers, decent people doing their best, unable to make decisions because Control isn't picking up the phone. This is what happens when railways are run like failing hedge funds, prioritising shareholder returns, director salaries, and meaningless targets while the service collapses beneath the weight of its own pretension. This isn't just inconvenient, it's harmful. Worcestershire's economy, Cornwall's tourism, our national productivity, Oxford, suffer when people make different choices. Cancel meetings, drive instead, avoid weekend travel altogether, avoid the train. These aren't isolated incidents, they're the rule, not the exception. Even celebrities like Kirsty Allsop, usually known for radical, not usually known for radical activism, have joined the chorus of discontent And the answer from GWR, an admission that they are operating with a smaller fleet as part of managing the overall subsidy provided by the taxpayer. In other words, austerity by stealth. And let's not forget Jackie Smith, the former Home Secretary, who raised the issue about absent early morning catering repeatedly. Still no croissant, still no accountability, but rest assured the executive bosses remain generously catered. It's not enough to mutter about weather or apologise through gritted teeth. This is the failure of planning, infrastructure and respect. And the Department for Transport needs to untangle itself from the opaque mess it's created. GWR must stop treating passengers as livestock, and Lord Hendry, the chair of Network Rail and high priest of platitudes, must at long last get it sorted. Until then, I presume we'll keep standing in corridors, eating air, listening to scripted apologies endlessly repeated, and wondering how much lower the bar can fall. Because travel by train in Britain is a misery.